And welcome back to Love Your Food. This week we have a really simple and delicious recipe for you for falafel. Now, falafel is a traditional Middle Eastern dish. We sort of synthesized this from a combination of recipes. Most of the recipes we found were for restaurant quantities, so they were enormous amounts of chickpeas, but we scaled that down for a home kitchen. So let's get going with our ingredients. First, we've got some chickpeas that we've soaked, some parsley, a dried chili pepper, and a cardamom pod, some salt, some spices. We have some coriander, black pepper, and cumin, a little bit of baking powder, an onion, some garlic, and some sesame seeds. So we're going to start off by getting our spices a little bit toasty. We're just going to wake those up in a hot pan. And for the cardamom, we're going to be grinding these spices up. We don't really want the hull of the cardamom. So we're going to open that up and get the little pips inside out. That's where the flavor really is with the cardamoms and the aroma. So we're going to get those out into the pan and just let those heat up a little bit and toast so that it really wakes those flavors up a bit. And then once those are a little toasty, you can smell that they're very aromatic. We're going to put those into our spice grinder. And we're going to grind those until they are very fine into a nice even powder. And we're going to leave the seeds in the pepper and just grind everything up together. Next thing we're going to do is start getting our ingredients just roughly chopped. Now this is all going to go into a food processor. We're going to process this all together so you can use a food processor or food mill just to make sure that everything comes together in sort of a rough paste, kind of a mealy paste. And we're just chopping these up to avoid anything that's long enough to get caught around the blade of the food processor. That goes with the onions as well. So we're just going to chop those roughly to make sure that there's no big, long pieces. Next, we're going to drain our chickpeas. Now, it is really important that you start from dried chickpeas and soak them overnight. Canned chickpeas that have been cooked will sort of affect the texture of the final product and make it a little bit mealy. So we're going to use dried chickpeas that we have soaked overnight. You want to switch out the water once or twice on that as well. You can see we've put the chickpeas into our food processor over our garlic, onions, and parsley. We're going to add the salt. We're going to add the sesame seeds. Basically, everything's just going to go into the food processor. Our little tiny bit of baking powder. And that's just to give it a little bit of fluff. And our delicious and incredibly aromatic spice mix. And from here, we're just going to start getting this together. So it's just going to be a very slow pulse to start, just to make sure that things are getting combined. And you can see they're getting a little chopped already. And then we're going to let it go for a little while. Make sure you stop a few times and scrape down the side. It's really important that you get all of those little chunks off the sides so that everything comes together. So make sure you're giving it a good little stir every once in a while, just to make sure. And there you can see it's starting to come together as a paste. It still has some fairly big pieces in there. It's not quite uniform yet. It's not sticking together. Now, what we want to see is a very uniform sort of size for everything, and that it's binding together a little on its own in the food processor. You can see here from the top, it's starting to sort of come together now. Giving it a little bit of a shake. And this is about where we want it. So you can see here, everything's a pretty uniform size, and it's binding together when we scrape it off the side. It's kind of sticking together to itself at least. So that's just about perfect. This is about where we want it. So we're going to take that out of the food processor. We're going to transfer that to a bowl, and we're just going to let that sit for a little while. We do want to let it sort of relax and hydrate for a while after it comes out of the food processor. So at least an hour, and if possible, you can let that rest overnight. And then it's ready to go. So we're going to get our nice hot oil into our deep fryer here. And you can do this in just a regular Dutch oven with hot oil as well. We're using the deep fryer here because it's a little easier to keep that temperature under control. And you can see right off the bat those nice big bubbles coming off of it. And it doesn't take very long for it to start to get a little bit brown, but we want to wait until they are uniformly sort of dark brown all the way around. Beautiful and crispy all the way around. This is just about perfect. This is exactly what we're looking for. So we're going to transfer that onto a rack. And you can use whatever kind of spoon you like to shape these, or you can shape it into just little balls in your hand, whatever you prefer. And then we're just going to pop one open, and you can see that baking powder has left it a little bit fluffy inside, that beautiful crispy outside. We're serving it with one of our salads here that is primarily cabbage with that tahini dressing. I'll put a link to that at the end here. And that's it. It's really, really simple. Very surprising to me, honestly, when we discovered exactly how easy it is to make really excellently delicious falafel. These came out extremely well. They were tender and fluffy inside, crisp and golden and just sort of dark golden brown outside, and absolutely delicious. So we hope you'll give this one a try. If you like this recipe, please do like and subscribe. And if you have any recipes you'd like to see Chef Caleb try on the channel, please let us know in the comments below. And remember to love your food.